For this project, I found myself reflecting on things that others have said to me at various points in my life and my career. These were sometimes offhanded comments that the speaker may not even remember he or she said, but they've stuck with me, some for many years. And I found that as I reflect on these comments to help guide me in different circumstances, especially when I may be unsure of something or am facing a difficult decision. So I'm going to use these comments to frame this video about who I am as a leader. As an instructor of Asian American Studies, it's probably no surprise that my identity is very much aligned with Asian Crit, or Asian American Critical Race Theory, and is an intrinsic part of my approach to leadership. As the middle child of a Sansei, or third-generation Japanese-American mother, and a second-generation Chinese-American father who met at Cal State LA, married, bought a house in the middle-class suburbs of the San Fernando Valley, I grew up in a pretty typical American environment. My dad was a public school teacher, then administrator, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom who packed my lunch every day and cooked dinner for us every night. She was on the PTA, hung out with the other school moms, and even went on the 70s TV game show, Let's Make a Deal, the original one with Monty Hall. Pretty much all of my classmates and neighborhood playmates were middle-class white kids, with an occasional Asian or Hispanic kid sometimes thrown into the mix. I grew up playing hide-and-seek, dodgeball, jump rope, and my personal specialty, the monkey bars, and luckily somehow didn't experience much discrimination from these other kids. But every weekend, my family would leave the valley to go visit both sets of grandparents who lived near downtown LA. I would get to go to Japanese town with one set of grandparents and then go eat multi-course Chinese dinners with the other set. I attended Chinese school every Saturday, though once my friend Joyce Young got her driver's license and a Honda Prelude, we probably ditched class more than we actually attended. In high school, I also started playing basketball, though not very well, at our Japanese American Community Center and worked there as a summer camp counselor, and had a whole different set of Asian American friends through these activities. After a while, I started to become aware that having white friends at school was fine, but that I felt more comfortable and more myself when I was around my Asian American friends. This dual identity was reinforced by my dad one day, as he was dropping me off at one of my white friends' houses for a party. Everyone else was staying over for a sleepover, but my parents said I couldn't because we had some family function that night, and I remember being really mad about it. I still remember him lecturing me from the driver's seat of his Volkswagen Bug, saying that in our house, family always comes first, and leaving me with this: you just remember, blood is thicker than water. Back in elementary school, I was usually, always, one of the smartest ones in the class and was part of the gifted program, where I got to miss part of the school day to take enrichment classes and go on special field trips. I was, in short, a model minority. I didn't think much about my race or cultural identity, but starting in 4th grade, mandatory busing arrived. Suddenly, many of my white friends were bused out of our neighborhood to faraway schools. As Asians, my brother and I helped our school's minority count, and so we got to stay at our home school. We also got several new kids in our classes, the black kids who got bused in place of our friends. Still, I wasn't fazed much by these newcomers, as they pretty much stuck together, and the teachers still treated me as their prized pupil. The only difficult encounters I can remember about the new kids was that Miss Chalet was always complaining that Ms. Plattner was prejudiced, and that one time Billy chased me around the playground and pushed me over a bench, calling me a teacher's pet. From that experience, I think I learned that it was okay that I was smart, but that I should, as Chris Pratt recently said, use my intelligence to be a humble influencer. As an undergraduate at UCSD, I worked as an upward-bound tutor. My job was to travel to different San Diego high schools, usually in low-income neighborhoods, and meet with students, encourage them to apply to college, and help them with their applications. I learned how to listen with empathy and how to connect with others from different backgrounds. I found myself deeply touched and inspired by students who came from broken families or who had come with their families as refugees from war-torn countries. But they were all determined to go to college to try to make a better life for themselves and their families. In my junior year, I was accepted into a summer institute at UC Berkeley, into a program that encouraged minority students to go into public policy careers. I lived in a big house with students from all different ethnicities who attended prestigious schools like Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Columbia, Brown, and they were all student leaders who were very conscious of their own cultural identities. This was my first time being around students like this, and it was the genesis of my own cultural awakening as a minority student leader. For the first time, I felt a sense of responsibility to adequately represent other Asian American students. But for the first time, I also felt an authentic group identity with other ethnic students as a person of color, and a sense of empowerment that, as a collective group, we could make an impact and could create change in systems of power. After getting a master's degree from Duke, I found my first full-time job as a research associate for the Asian Pacific American Public Policy Institute, which was a partnership between LEAP, Leadership Education for Asian Pacifics, and the UCLA Asian American Studies Center. And it published current research by API scholars and community activists. The part of the job that I liked best was when we would go on book tours, traveling around the country with the scholars to present our research to local API communities so that they could use this information to advocate for social change. While at LEAP, I participated in a number of leadership programs. As a leadership fellow with the Asian Pacific American Women's Leadership Institute, or APALI, I found my voice as an API woman leader, and for the first time, better understood what it meant to not only be disadvantaged for being in a minority group, but also for being a female in a minority group. That intersectionality between race, class, gender, and discrimination exists and persists. Shortly after this awakening, I took on a new job where I was now the director of a California Leadership Fellows program. The fellows were all different ethnicities and came from a range of backgrounds, including reformed gang leaders, formerly incarcerated men and women, and nonprofit and education professionals. I found myself being challenged once again to listen with empathy and to connect and engage with each fellow, not only to build a sense of camaraderie, but also to lead the cohort through a journey of personal and professional growth. It was also a huge period of growth for myself as I learned how to coach the fellows, some who were much older than myself, and how to translate their work into programs that foundations and others with money would want to support. When this project ended, my boss, a white male, a self-proclaimed thespian who bore a passing resemblance to Steve Martin, popped into my office to bid me farewell and announced, "Your greatest gift is that you are a natural bridge builder. You have this ability to meet people where they are at and figure out ways to help them to get to where they need to go." At the time, I was a little embarrassed, yet flattered by this, yet his words still resonate with me today. And I'm thankful for the clarity he provided to me at a time when I was unsure of my next steps. In my current role as a lecturer at Fresno State, my educational philosophy is the same as it was while I was working in the nonprofit world, to help others succeed and reach their leadership potential. As a self-admitted model minority in an environment where few others had the privilege of growing up like me, I'm well aware of the burden of this stereotype and am determined to use my knowledge and skills to get others to where they need to go in order to be successful. As the current president of Central California Asian Pacific Women, a local nonprofit, I have also come to realize that I've reached the stage, and maybe age, where younger women look up to me as a leader, mentor, and role model. At our 38th Annual Scholarship Awards Gala just last week, I was pleasantly surprised when I was introduced by a fellow board member as a leader who makes it easy for others to follow. To me, that's the ultimate compliment, and I hope that my journey in growing as a leader never ends. By going through this program, I hope that I will gain even more tools to build an educated, empowered community and create lasting social change.
In the maze of her imagination, your love there